celebrating 15 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Andy Wood, Part 1.
Welcome to another edition of Anything is Possible. These are great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. And here's proof, my friend Andy Wood. Welcome to the broadcast.
Man, it's great to be here, Hal. It's great to be here.
You know what? The first time I heard you, I didn't see you. I was at Travis Wyrick's studio, and he was being very Travis about the moment. Travis, you know what that means. He was like, dude, no, dude, listen, no, dude. And he was using his LA voice on me and his whole LA vibe. And he played a track of you playing, and I think you were playing mandolin.
Yeah, most likely.
And you were just ripping it up. And I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, dude. And I was just blown away. And he said, no, he's from here. He's like that guy. And so I've always wanted to have an opportunity to sit down and talk to you because I think your life is representative of what's possible. And I think your life is also representative of the one thing that I've known about all great achievers is that love is the source code of greatness. Because when you love it, it makes you open to learning it. So welcome to the broadcast.
Oh, it's good to be here. That's definitely the quote, the mantra, or whatever you want to say for how my music has come about. It's just something that my granddad instilled in me. My cousin and I were growing up playing. He got to start when we were like 5 or 6 years. That was we were born in North Carolina. We relocated to Knoxville in early teens, and we got started in like old time fiddle tunes. And by the time we were 9 or 10 years old, we probably knew 200 or 300 fiddle tunes. You know,
200 or 300.
Yeah. So the fun thing, like we call him Grampsy. His name's Paul Birchfield. Well, I'm gonna refer to him as Grampsy because that's all he is to me. Being kids, we love video games. Street Fighter 2 at the bowling alley, that was the thing. So for every fiddle tune we would learn, he would give me and Brian $5 to go throw into the Street Fighter 2 machine. So that was the thing, right? So we would sit down, we would learn, like, this is one I love is Whiskey Before Breakfast. It's so we would learn that, and then get to work on it for a couple of hours. And if we could play it all the way through with Grampsy playing rhythm and us playing lead, then he'd take us out to the bowling alley. And I'd say that was like the formative years of my introduction to music.
Did he ever tell you why he wanted you to learn that?
I think innately he didn't really have to. Looking back now, it's just because he wanted somebody to play with. He wanted to play music, you know. And he had 3 daughters and no boys the first go around. So when they had kids, he had 2 boys with grandkids. He's like, all right, now we can pick. Now I got people to play music with, and it just kind of started this family trio thing of me on mandolin, Brian on fiddle, and Gramps playing rhythm guitar for us, you know.
So let me ask you this: do you think that you fell in love with the guitar, or did you fall in love with the relationship that the guitar was giving you with Grampsy? Did that put you did that give you a special place, a special status?
Can it be yes to both?
Yeah.
I mean, like, the really thing is, I wasn't into guitar growing up. I was really into mandolin. Like, I really wanted to be Sam Bush when I grew up. I was like, that's my guy. Newgrass Revival is the greatest thing I've ever heard, you know? And guitar kind of got really good to me when I was about 17. I had bought Mark O'Connor's new Nashville Cats record. And I'd bought it because Sam was playing mandolin on a couple of the tracks. And I heard this Telecaster solo from Brent Mason. And that was like, just leveled me. And that's when I was like, man, I've got to learn how to play electric guitar. Because before then, we only played acoustic instruments at the house. And hearing Brent Mason play these kind of...
don't play it. Don't play it yet.
that kind of thing is what really got good to me. It's
see,
just changed my life, you know.
So why don't we take a break? When we come back, I want you to play the piece that inspired you.
All right, okay, okay.
So we'll save that up, because
Okay.
you got to hear a little pinch of it. This guy right here, incredible. This is Andy Wood. You're listening to and watching Anything is Possible.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up,
You know, I just did it because it's what my family did. When I went to the 2nd grade, it was like a eye-opener that everybody didn't play music.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. My possibility guest today, Andy Wood. Did you think what you're experiencing now was possible when you first started falling in love with this music?
No, I was too young. None of those thoughts go through the mind of a 7 or 8-year-old. You know, I just did it because it's what my family did. When I went to the 2nd grade, it was like a eye-opener that everybody didn't play music. Like, you know, you're so young that I was like, oh, well, everybody plays music, you know. I went
This
to
is
school
what we
and said,
do.
Yeah, what instrument do you play? And the kids are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, well, he plays the fiddle and I play the mandolin. What do you, you know, it's like, you just don't know when you're that young. And then when I, finishing up high school and trying to decide what to do with my life, that proverbial question, I was like, I don't really know what else would make me as happy as just trying to play music for a living. So I just never really.
No plan B. This is it. Plan
This
A.
is all I got. So.
You know what's interesting though about the music that you started playing? It requires community. In much the same way jazz does, you want to play with other people.
Absolutely.
And it is a musical collaboration and it's a musical conversation.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're trading jokes with the music. You're enjoying together.
Yeah.
And it becomes almost like a secret handshake. There's nothing like when you fall into a rhythm with a group of people that you love to play with. It's transcendent.
It is, and that same thing can be said when you fall into that same vibe, or I like to call it vibe or attitude or whatever, when you drop in with somebody you've never met before in your life, and all of a sudden you're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
It's universal. I've met friends from across the world at guitar trade shows, and the guitar company I work with, they would bring in guys from Brazil, you know, or Germany, and obviously they speak different languages, and you sit down and play music, and if everybody knows Billy's Bounce, then everybody's talking the same thing, you know. So you're right. It can be that lifelong conversation like what I have with Brian. You know, he and I almost have this like telepathic thing.
Yeah.
That's just transcendent. You just smile and nod. You know what everybody's got going on.
So Gramp Seed planted the seed,
For sure.
watered the seed, embodied what it looked like. Was he a professional musician though?
No, he played in the Army band through the 40s, and he was a construction worker, and he played. That's where he got his nickname Grampsy. It wasn't from me and Brian and our moms. It was like he was the oldest guy on the construction site at some point in time, and they just started calling him Grampsy. So when I was the first, Brian's 6 months younger, so when my mom had me, you know, they were trying to decide if he was going to be granddad or grandfather, whether he said, all that stuff sounds old, just call me Grampsy.
So what was the piece that broke you loose from the mandolin?
The Brent Mason solo on Pick It Apart.
Give me a little bit of that.
Yeah, okay. It's a tough one. But yeah, this is the one that really, really kind of changed my life. Let's see. That's the one.
Now, how old were you when you were sucked into that?
17-ish. ish, somewhere in that
And how
range.
long did it take you to learn that
I'm still
solo?
working on it, man. I'm still working on it. It's
Have you met him?
I've met Brent in passing at he was playing at a club in Nashville, and I met him in passing.
Have you ever considered the fact that there may be some 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 17-year-old kid that's listening to your music, and you are that connective tissue, that launch pad for their dreams?
Man, it's weird that you say that, because living in the digital era, I get Instagram tagged kids working on tunes of mine.
What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's the first time it happened, I was like, wait, what? I'm not that guy, you know? And so the first thing I do is immediately respond, yeah, as honestly as possible. That sounds great. This one note, you know, I try to like get them. This is where, you know, it's like, and I haven't released transcriptions of my music, so
They got to sit there and listen.
They're
and learn.
earballing it. Yeah, that's the way I did it too. You know, and it's really nice to see what someone's interpretation is, because Brent, when I was doing it, Brent plays with his fingers, right? And I play with a flat pick. So there were certain licks in the solo that I would have to figure out how to, like, he would do that all with his fingers, and I had to figure out where I could alternate pick, and then where I could use a middle finger to get.
So you had to reinvent.
I had to
the
reinvent
solo.
the thing just to be able to play the solo. So it's fun to see guys kind of take tunes of mine that are based around it. One of the tunes that I play is "Truth and Lie." It's the title track, and the main riff is and it's got that kind of thing. And to watch guys do it, or do it finger style or whatever, it's always fun. I'm like, oh man. And then I'll usually send them a private message, slowed down with a camera angle on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm really into like what social media has connected us, you know.
Why are you so into giving back?
I don't know. Just, it's not some kind of secret that I'm trying to hoard. It's something it's a song, and if I know what it's like the first time I had learned one of my heroes' songs, the first time I had learned, you know, Eddie Van Halen's, I was like, oh, I'm the coolest guy in the world. I can do the thing that Eddie does, you know. And then, so it's like, to be able to, if I'd have had the chance to Instagram Eddie Van Halen when I was 17 or 18 years old, and him hit me back, I'd be like, that's the coolest thing ever, you know.
Do you realize that's another way to keep the music alive, though?
I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah.
You gotta keep the fire burning.
So when did things start to take off for you professionally?
Oh man, I would say, you know, we were pounding the pavement with a rock band that I was in called Down From Up. I was in it with another Knoxville guy, Eric Baker, and another Knoxville guy, Matt Brewster. There was a drummer, his name was Andy Campbell, and the four of us were the mainstay of that. And we had gotten a little bit of stuff going behind us. You know, we were out opening for Seven Dust and these hard rock bands, but things really kind of got rolling upon my solo instrumental releases. Like when I did my first one, it garnered that initial like, oh, who is this guy on the scene? And the follow-up was when it became, that was the Truth and Lie record. That's when things really started going really big. I was touring with Scott Stapp from Creed.
Right.
And I think it was one of those moments where that's a big profile artist. I had this album coming out at the same time. And then the next thing you know, I was doing a guitar summit with a steel guitarist named Travis Toy. And he played for Rascal Flatts. And then Rascal Flatts was looking for a guy. It was like that perfect storm of within about 13 months, just everything that was moving around at the same time just lined up. And I think that was in, you know, that was about 3 years ago-ish. You know, when all that stuff started, it's like lining up. And you can't force that. That's the thing with the music industry. You just got to work on your craft, and when the stars align, you've got to be able to deliver your craft.
Right.
Yeah.
What I see when I watch you, and in our next segment, I want you to play for us.
Sure.
But what I see in you is you're still fresh. You're still excited about it. I've met a lot of musicians in my life. They're calloused.
Jaded. It might even be the right word, yeah.
Right. But you still seem to love it.
I do.
Almost spiritually.
I do, for sure.
What's
And
that?
I keep that alive by now that where I'm at on the guitar is like if I hear something, within 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I can be kind of starting to regurgitate it back. So I try to play new instruments. Like I've been playing piano for like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm terrible, but it's fun because I can hear it and I can't do it with the motor skills. Same thing with like going and picking up a banjo or a fiddle or something like that. I'm better at banjo than I am fiddle, but it's at the moment I start to feel that staleness or that jaded or this guitar is not really that fun for me. This is a sound that I hear all the time. And I can change the pickups, I can change the tone, but innately it's still a guitar. So sometimes you have to hear a different voice. And that's where that spirituality thing comes in. It's like music is not just the sound of a guitar. This is just the notes that they are. It's like sometimes you have to have a new way to trigger those notes. And I think that's why I love cinema, movie, video game scores. I love that. I love like Danny Elfman, Hans Zimmer, and all that stuff. John Williams. It's because it's not notes of a guitar. It's just music coming from all these different sources. I think that's what keeps it fresh to me. It keeps it alive, yeah.
Let's take a break. Man, Andy Wood, my guest on Anything Is Possible. He'll play for us next.
Coming up.
This is Anything Is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill, and the time just goes so fast, right? We were having a great conversation off camera about the spirituality of music, and that's what I see in you. I see this kind of, there's this joy about you and about what you do that would make me believe like you've never had a bad day. That if I hadn't lived long enough to have brokenness in my own life, I wouldn't know that you had it in yours. But it seems like there's a joy that comes in and through the music that keeps you alive. Almost if I took the guitar away from you or if I took music away from you, I'd take you off life support.
You nailed it. Like I don't even know what I'd be without it, It's not something that I do, it's not a job, it's not a hobby, it's just, it's always going in my mind. Like I walk through the house just humming little melody song and have a guitar in my hand,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad God gave that to you. Would you play something for us?
I'd love to.
What are you going to play?
I'm going to play Reach off of my Truth and Lie record. Play this on the air for you, and I'll see what kind of version we come up with today.
Wow. Look what Grampsy did. What happened to you just then emotionally, though? Because when you finished that, it was almost like,
yeah. I mean, that's just the kind of thing, is just try to turn off the world and the interview and the cameras and the hang and the lights, try to turn it off. Sometimes you get it all the way off and you get zoned in, and sometimes you don't, you know, but I think that's the fun for me, is the improvisational aspect. Like, if you get on YouTube, there's no two versions of that song that exist. You know, there's the same melodies, but, you know, and that's the thing that's interesting too, is I love doing these things where it's like I've got an iPhone and a $89 practice amp, and you just try to zone it out, you know.
wow. We're gonna take a break. On part 2 of this interview, I wanna get inside your head about where you wanna go next. This is Andy Wood. Next week on Anything is Possible, part 2.